Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Here to talk all things hockey are your hosts, Brad Crisco, Ryan Hanna, and Evan Lobsinger.
I'll start off optimistic this episode, and I'll just get it out of the way for you, Ryan.
Okay.
Eric Comrie is a savior. He is perfect as a Red Wing. It's so predictable.
You needed to space that joke out because 3 minutes between it is just not good enough.
No, I'm just sparing Ryan the
just get it out of the way.
Sitting on it for 30 minutes.
I saw Comrie in net last night, and I just went, Brad, I can hear you from my house.
Were you almost hoping Pittsburgh scored so I couldn't make that joke?
100% I was. At that point, what was the difference? I was watching the game last night where we were working in the house, as we have been for the past 7 years, I think it is now.
Is that money in the jar?
Yeah, probably. And Mel's family was over. I had the game on, and I was looking down, like doing something else, I think, during play at some point. And Pittsburgh scored, and I kind of just like looked up and grunted. And Mel's aunt goes, "Oh no, Ryan, your team's losing." And I was like, "Yeah, they tend to do that."
You're becoming Brad. Brad is now narrating his tweets that he sent. Or you're narrating the tweets you sent, and that's what Brad does.
Okay, but the reason I'm comfortable doing that is because I know Brad does the same thing, so he'll never call it out. And since when are you on Twitter?
The only tweet I sent yesterday was water emojis, so I can't really narrate that. I mean,
I'm so used to you not paying attention. Can you just go back to? It's convenient when you don't.
I'm fact checking you.
We have over twice as many listeners on a normal episode as I do followers, so they don't know what we're doing.
No.
Yeah, but now they'll know to skip your tweets because they've already heard it. They got the audiobook version of your Twitter feed.
No. The half of the listeners that are following me already know to skip my tweets. This is
true.
Oh, our last Twitter goal for 2019 is yours, Evan. So you need to be tweeting more.
I'm real close.
I know, but
I'm real close.
What are we trying to get Evan
We're
to?
trying to get Evan to 2K.
I'm 1941.
Oh, wow.
Oh, geez.
Not a great year.
Yeah, you're right in the middle of the war, eh?
Yeah, so we... podcast hit 3,500. Brad and I hit 3,000. And Evan, and since we, announced that we want to get all of us to these specific goals and Evan's being 2K, I think Evan has tweeted 3 times and jumped 60 followers.
Yeah, that's probably about right. Or whenever the podcast account tweets something, I get a random spike.
Are you confused on days where you jump 20 followers and you didn't do anything?
No, because I know that's a normal day.
Must be nice.
When you make it big, please remember us.
I will try. I'll be
I
telling
ask.
you guys all the stupid stuff the Instagram models sell.
Oh, as long as you
Skinny
post the same pictures, absolutely.
I'll get out my man thong just for those.
If you are posting identical pictures, I will buy 4 times whatever your monthly quota is.
No, I will never.
You don't want to send pictures of you in a man thong to Brad for money?
Every man's got the price.
They don't
I
have to
can't
be
say
sent
no.
to me. I need the general public to be in on this too.
Okay.
That's the whole point of it.
Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. It's Sunday morning. I'm Ryan Hanna.
I'm Brad Crisco.
And I'm Evan. I have nothing this morning. I'm dying.
Why are you dying? Oh,
I've been sick, and last night I did curling for 7 hours. It was like a Christmas tournament, and for some reason, so obviously the rink is cold, but the inside was probably 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So you walk into this wave of heat every other hour. So you go on the ice for an hour, then you're in for an hour while the other half of the tournament plays, and then you keep flipping back and forth. Who knew that would wreak havoc on your immune system?
Oh yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, I could feel the blood thinning in my veins.
All right, so outside of my 100-day cold that I had earlier in the spring, I'm the healthiest out of all of us right now. That means it's end of days, right?
Do you guys get flu shots?
I do, but I haven't got mine yet.
I did last year. Didn't get sick a single day. I haven't got it yet. I've been sick pretty much since it got below 5 degrees.
Last year's was very effective. They predicted the strain correctly.
What are the gamblers' odds on this one?
I'll tell you, my entire family got our flu shots 3 weeks ago. Me and Mika have already got the flu. So
it's a super virus.
Yeah, outlook not so great.
Well,
I'm looking it up. Public health.
Like Mika's literally has it as we speak.
So last year when I got it, my lymph node under my in my armpit, like under the arm that I got the needle in, was like so swollen, and it hurt. So it honestly felt like I had a deep bone bruise in my rib, like on my ribs.
That sucks. I've
Yeah.
never had that.
It was so weird, but I didn't get sick. So
I always hear these stories about people having awful reactions from needles, and I've never had one in my life. And now I've never been paranoid to get needles because I've never had a bad experience. And now everybody's just telling me all these horror stories.
It's still worth it. I'd rather not get sick.
Yeah, no, I'm pissed because I got the needle and the flu this year. So
Yeah.
This year's based on like one MD in New York.
Oh, okay, perfect.
They said this strain it should be about 47% effective, which is relatively high.
That's a coin flip.
So basically
I'll take
50-50, and only 50% of my family's been sick. So there we go. I know that's not how it works.
Yes, anecdotally.
All right. Speaking of things not working, the Detroit Red Wings played their first game in 5 days, and boy, did they not skip a beat. Although that's unfair. I think they had a better effort overall.
It was a fantastic third period.
Yes. They lost in a 5-3 game to the Penguins, as kind of everyone predicted would happen. The Penguins, who were coming off of a back-to-back, I believe.
Yep.
Or something like that. Or they had played essentially 3 games in the days that Detroit had off. Bright spots. Let's start with bright spots. The Red Wings' best players continue to be their best players in Hronek and Fabry and Larkin.
Yes.
Zadina did see time with Filppula and Athanasiou, which is a noted improvement.
Yes.
He was one lucky foot shot block away from his first goal of the season.
Yeah, that's how you know he's cursed, when it hits Jack Johnson's skate blade on a 2-on-1.
Jack own goal Johnson.
Yeah.
Bastard.
If that was anybody but Philip Zadina, that thing is going off Jack Johnson's skate blade bar down.
Oh, absolutely. Larkin in the last 2 minutes looked like Larkin of the beginning of the season, which was very nice to see. He's been picking it up the past few games.
Yep.
Which has been important.
He's sick of the losing.
Bad defense.
Oh, boy. It's just, when there was a Penguin coming through the neutral zone, it was just the parting of the Red Sea.
Like, that defense made Detroit look like they were playing Evgeny Malkin with Detroit's current defense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That was the goal. Malkin scored, and she went, "Oh no, Ryan!" I went, "Yeah, I mean, it was
Malkin does what he wants.
He does what he wants. He's a loose cannon." Yeah, it's kind of a prototypical Red Wings game this season. Like, there's not too much to dive into because it's, the Red Wings did some things good, a lot of things bad that you'd expect to be bad, and they played a better team with more talent.
Quick question.
Yeah.
When was the last Red Wings regulation win? Give me the date. Don't look it up. I want it up.
November 4th.
They've definitely won since Hank was born. I think they've won a couple, so I'm going to say
Brad.
November 9th.
Close. It was the 10th. That was,
Ooh.
that was the last regulation win.
Ooh.
Oh,
And of
boy.
course, that was when we beat Boston, beat Vegas, beat Anaheim.
Oh, yeah, that when you tweeted out the upcoming schedule and they won all 3.
Yeah. So I will continue to not.
So
do
my life
that.
just kind of went to hell in a weekend because that weekend was also the weekend I popped my shoulder out. So, yeah, it's been pain and suffering and
It's your
nothing.
fault.
Yeah.
Funny, stats about regulation wins. I'm just going to dive away for a second. Detroit beat Boston. Wait, no, Detroit beat Boston on the road. Boston lost at home yesterday for the first time this season.
That is absurd.
Before
it gets crazier.
the last Boston professional sports team to lose in regulation at home was the Red Sox. Baseball ended months ago.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The Patriots and the
I was
Celtics.
like, Red Sox? I don't remember that hockey team.
The Patriots, the Celtics, and the Bruins up until yesterday had not lost at home at all this season. And everybody wonders why we all hate Boston sports.
There's multiple reasons why we hate Boston sports.
Yeah, the Red Wings have made a good effort keeping their lead on the tank. They had a couple weeks there where they were just building on the lead, and then LA and Ottawa have really kind of regained their form in losing in regulation. But Detroit has just been a stalwart in keeping pace for pace with them.
New Jersey, you don't want to win? Neither do we.
No, yeah, exactly.
You lose, we lose.
This is like that married couple that just refuses to talk to each other, and it's just gotten way out of hand.
Yeah. At this point, someone's like, if they don't talk to each other soon, they're going to finish with like 32 points on the season. And they're like, I'm not doing it. I'm not winning. Sorry. No
I'm sure there's another game of the toilet bowl against New Jersey at some point.
There's a toilet bowl game against LA on the 15th, and that's pretty much it for basement, like bottom feeders. They got Winnipeg on Tuesday and then Thursday. That's in Winnipeg on Tuesday and at home on Thursday. So that's their upcoming 2 games.
The game is tentative in Thursday because it's now winter in Winnipeg, and there's a high chance you can't make it out.
I mean, there's no airport, right? So you gotta fly out.
Drive?
Or you gotta drive to fly out. I actually don't know if there's no airport. I've just seen it going around Twitter, and it's really funny.
No, I've seen interviews with players saying that they have to fly into Thunder Bay, or I forget what the other city is in Bussin.
Oh no!
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You have
There were two airport options that I remember reading about, and I'm 90% sure one of them was Thunder Bay. I cannot remember what the other one was.
That's devastating.
It's not good when you're a major city and you have to fly into Thunder Bay to drive to it.
Anytime you have to fly into Thunder Bay, you're doing something wrong. And I'm sorry for
you should never have to say that.
Yeah, I'm sorry for our 3 listeners in Thunder Bay. Please,
they're just getting like the episodes from 4 months ago. Their internet's that slow. Their significant others out cranking the electricity bike to power the house in the router.
When we scrap like old routers and stuff, people rummage through the garbage and send them up to Northern Ontario.
It's true.
Yeah. So Zadina got sent down and called back up before this game. He started out on his typical Helm Nielsen line. He had a good play to Helm. I'm not going to blame Helm for it. It went into his feet. He looked all right. Then they pulled him off that line, which I thought was good. They want to keep Fabry up with Larkin and Bertuzzi. Now, I get the impression that Fabry is up with Larkin to kickstart Larkin. And to Blashill's credit, it seems to be working a little bit. He looked much more dangerous. I really want to talk about Fabry's positioning. We talk a lot about his hockey IQ. That guy knows how to be in the right place at the right time. And even if you look at the rebound goal he scored, if you think that's easy, think about why you haven't seen a lot of it over the past few years with Detroit. It's because it's only easy if you know to be there, which he did. And B, if you look at the shot, he almost adjusted the angle of his shot mid-fire. He realized that he'd have to raise that puck a little bit more because that was Matt Murray in that last night, right?
Yep.
Matt Murray almost made Max pointed it out. He almost made the save of the century with his hand behind his back. Fabry caught that all while in motion of shooting and just raised the puck that extra little bit more to fire it in, essentially bar down. So that kind of thing is what really sells me on Fabry. I don't think he's going to be a 12 points in 14 games player for his entire time with the Red Wings. I don't think we just magically scored a 70, 80 point guy. But I sure think he's going to be able to produce so long as he keeps this up, stays healthy, and has decent enough line mates to play with. Because he has had top 6 minutes from the moment he stepped onto this team.
If I ever had to write an article explaining the difference between a line driver and a really good complementary player, I think Robbie Fabry would be my header picture. Because he's the definition of the perfect complementary player.
Oh, absolutely.
He does not have the skill to drive a line. He does not have... If you put him with a couple boat anchors, if we're being honest here, he'd be useless. I don't think he'd be in the position that Zadina's been in, where, he looks good, but nothing's actually happening. But when you put him with players who can drive a line, like a Dylan Larkin, or if he ever got on a line with an Athanasiou, he gets to the right spots to finish the plays, to be available for outlets, to be available for support, and when needed, put the puck in the net when given the opportunity. And it's stuff like that you can't teach. And I know there's already a movement going around about, do we flip Fabry for a return already? Stop.
Fabry has no trade value.
He's done this, as happy as we are, he's done this for a month. There's no GM in the league that's going to go, oh my God, a first round pick, here you go. It's not going to happen. And that being said, right now, the way Fabry's playing, he's probably more valuable than a late first-round pick, in all honesty. He was a late first-round pick, so, fitting.
Where was he drafted? 20th?
21st, give or take, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's got value. And I know Max just put out his article about potential RFA re-signings, and Fabry was the top of the list of the most likely to be re-signed, to which everybody went, well, yeah.
There's a couple people who have mentioned to me that they don't want him up there because they want to clear room in the top 6. And you know what? That's actually a pretty fair notion a lot of the time, because usually a guy who's producing well for Detroit that they just acquired, who's doing better than expected, is not 23 or 24 years old. They're like 30, 31, and it's kind of a trap player because then you sign them to 5 years for too much money, and their name is Franz Nielsen. I know that's not how it went down with Franz Nielsen. He was signed as a UFA.
It's not far off.
That being said, Fabry is a little bit of a different case. He is 23 to 24. There's no difference between a young guy that's Fabry and a young guy that came up through the Red Wings organization. They're a young player with a lot of potential and a lot of good years ahead of them. It means that they're useful to this team. So it's kind of a diamond in the rough in terms of the kind of player you want to keep on through a rebuild. If you're rebuilding in general, you're not trying to bring on a ton of external talent to sign for skill, for long-term skill, unless they're young and they are actually talented enough to play in your top 6. So that's where Fabry lays.
From building a contender standpoint and understanding that cap management is part of that, you need guys in your top 6 that are going to come in cheap because they're good complementary players. Other than the style of play that they play, fundamentally, what's the difference right now between a Tyler Bertuzzi and a Robbie Fabry?
Oh, in terms of production, not much.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So if you have one of those guys for the first line and one of those guys for the second line, we know the first line's complete when healthy because Larkin, Mantha, and Bertuzzi is a legit first line. You could argue Athanasiou is a line driver and a legit second line player. So all that top 6 could be missing right now to be a legitimately really good top 6 is a good second line center. We love Filppula, but he ain't that. So if a Joe Veleno pans out, or say the Red Wings end up drafting a Quinton Byfield, they don't need to tinker with that top 6 a whole hell of a lot. The only time you drop a Fabry or Bertuzzi out of the top 6 is if all of a sudden you have a scoring third line, because the Red Wings' problem right now isn't the top end of the forwards when healthy. It's the depth. We were talking about that chart a few weeks ago where the Red Wings' top 6 was top 10 in the league and their bottom 6 was dead last in the league in terms of production. So, yeah, this isn't the problem. And if they're producing with Robbie Fabry there, this isn't an issue.
If the Red Wings go Bertuzzi, Larkin, Mantha, and then Athanasiou, let's say Byfield, Fabry as their top 6, that makes Athanasiou the oldest of those top 6.
And it makes him maybe the weakest player of those top 6, all things considered.
That is a amazing problem to potentially have. I know we do this sometimes. We get a little bit giddy about like the what could be with our top 2 lines, but the Red Wings are not far off of having a pretty decent top 6. There's no superstar, and there's no like.
If we're drafting a Lafreniere or a Byfield, there will be a superstar.
Right? Yeah. And you know what? I still have belief that Mantha can just explode for a 50-goal season.
He was on pace before he got injured. Or pretty damn close to it.
How much longer is he out?
Too much longer. I don't know. It's driving me nuts. But
I think they're being a little bit coy with his ankle sprain.
Now, the true value in Andreas Athanasiou as a Red Wing, though, getting back to him here in that second line, could be this upcoming draft. Because there's a lot of talk around the hockey world of if you're picking first overall, who do you pick? Alexis Lafreniere or Quinton Byfield? Most people will say Lafreniere because he's unbelievably talented. Some people will argue Quinton Byfield, well, because he's got the unique tools and he's a center. And all things being close, you go with the center. I mean, I still have Lafreniere pretty comfortably ahead of Byfield. But you don't need to pick Byfield because if you want to take Lafreniere and put him immediately in your top 6, hey, now would be a good time to shift Athanasiou back to center. Because if you have Fabry, Athanasiou, Lafreniere on your second line, that's a damn good second line. So he provides the Red Wings the luxury of not having to pick a weaker player based on position.
Because Lafreniere drives a line from the wing.
Yeah, you do not need to worry about Athanasiou at center if his winger is Alexis Lafreniere.
Oh, man.
I don't think that's going to happen.
It's an 18% chance. So yeah, I'm not holding my breath, but
our last draft lottery live stream, we never paid attention to YouTube stats for a while until we started pouring a ton of money into equipment. once we started like really focusing on YouTube, like in the summer, late summer, like August, we looked back at old stats in the draft lottery live streams were like 5,000 viewers. We're like, oh boy, if Detroit is dead last going into this lottery, it's going to somehow make everything else seem so insignificant. And I'm so concerned about the fallout for when they inevitably drop to 4.
I ran 10 the other day instead of just 1 to get a little bit of a sample size, and we picked first twice.
Oh.
So that was actually better than the odds.
That's almost exactly on odds. You beat it by 2%.
But I would say most of the time we were drafting 4th.
All right. Well, you know what we're doing now? We're going to do one tankathon.
I got Detroit picking second.
All right, and I'm going to do it. And
So I've got New Jersey
oh no,
picking first. The Red Wings get second. Anaheim gets third. Hey, I'm good with Byfield.
Mine is a nightmare scenario.
Is it Toronto, Chicago? Who else would be awful in there? Montreal and then Detroit?
Toronto, Ottawa by way of San Jose, Chicago.
Oh, God.
Mine was Calgary. No, that's not allowed.
Well, whatever. If
They jumped 12.
If we're not getting Lafreniere, I'd be happy him going out west.
It's Calgary, Detroit, New Jersey.
Ooh.
LA, Ottawa.
So there we go. So we get out of 3 tankathons here, we got 2 Quinton Byfields. Or maybe someone does something crazy and takes Byfield first overall, and we get a Lafreniere.
I just don't understand why the NHL is okay with giving New Jersey another chance at a first overall pick.
Weren't we trying to avoid the Edmonton situation?
Sure were.
Yep.
But come on down, 14th what would that be? 17th place team. You have a chance at getting first overall.
Don't forget the Carolina Hurricanes just missed the playoffs when they ended up getting Andrei Svechnikov.
You know, I understand this. Like, I get that everyone thought this, or a lot of people thought this was the right solution when they adjusted the draft lottery. I did. I was like, this is way better, because before it was just like teams were tanking too aggressively. I don't know how many times we're going to bring up the gold plan before either the eventual heat death of the universe or something changes.
Because again, right now we're sitting here as Red Wings fans going, well, the gold plan requires wins, so how's that play in Detroit's favor? Oh, they'd have such a head start from when they were mathematically eliminated that they'd string together enough overtime losses to get a good head start.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be fearful that New Jersey somehow, once the pressure of playoffs or making the playoffs is over, would go on a heater.
Well, they would have kept John Hines until they were mathematically eliminated. They'd fire him, and then they'd bring on a new coach.
I'm still fully on board for like a 4 or 5 team tournament right as soon as the season ends. That like 4-day gap between the end of the regular season and the playoffs.
How are you going to have guys play to bring on, increase the likelihood of them losing their jobs, though?
I don't care.
But they'll care.
For $1 million a year, you can play.
But they won't.
That's
the thing, though. For $1 million a year, these are the guys making only $1 million. They're not going to play. They're going to want to lose.
Hey, it could be the final audition for a few guys, right? Like, hey, are you worth keeping around?
No, that's not how the NHL. Man, you look at the guys that keep getting.
That is not happening.
Look at the guys that get brought back on PTOs every year, pretending that they're all of a sudden amazing players again. Jeff Blashill's about to try Justin Abdelkader at center.
Yeah,
13 years into his career. Can we talk about that? Because that is the biggest, pro gamer move that you could possibly have.
We're picking at anything right now. We're throwing everything at the wall.
We're considering trying Abdelkader at center. And what was Blashill's? What did he say? It was, he came into this league as a center or something like that. I'm like,
no, he didn't.
In 2007,
did he?
I'm not sure. Every winger played center at some point in juniors or college, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
It's that thing that we all get trapped into it when we're like, maybe he'll play center, but in the end, no one actually. There's no let's be honest. There's no actual centerman in hockey. Having a good centerman is a myth. It's just wingers who are used to play center that were trying back there. Even Connor McDavid, not actually a center. Sidney Crosby, not actually a center. Wayne Gretzky, right winger. That was all a joke for anybody who didn't get it.
My favorite part.
Paying attention.
Yeah.
My favorite part about trying Abdelkader at center is when you have one of the better centers and faceoff guys on the team in Luke Glendening currently playing wing. I love this nonsensical bullshit that the Red Wings do for absolutely no good reason other than that. Center depth is one of the things the Red Wings actually had. Not good depth, but depth, because they had Athanasiou can play center, Larkin, Filppula, Nielsen, Glendening, Helm, and these are all centers. Why are we even considering putting a player worse than all of them at center?
Yeah, Applicator doesn't skate better than any of them, so I don't imagine why this would be a effective solution.
Because he had 4 good games early in the season, and people immediately forgot the 15 bad games that followed.
I believe you mean 15 bad years.
Also, yes.
The something I want to say about Luke Glendening is, you remove the context of who he was displacing in the top 6, which in our mind was Zadina. He's really done a great job this year of doing everything that could reasonably be asked of him and more in his roles that are far beyond where he should be on the ice, right? Him playing on the top line or in the top 6, I think he's actually done a pretty great job of filling in and at the very least, not dragging those lines down, which is difficult to do. I'm asking for a lot of angry Twitter mentions by saying this, but Darren Helm has a lot of the same qualities, and he can also move with the play pretty well in the top 6, but where he falls short is his ability to convert on very, very easy chances that should result in goals. He's actually pretty decent at getting the pass on the stick when he has the opportunity, but Darren Helm will often whiff on those chances. I feel like Luke Glendening maybe isn't as good as Helm at putting himself in the right position to even get those chances, but at the same time, I think his conversion is a little bit better, and I think his ability to keep the play going without, whiffing on a shot or missing on something like that is pretty good. You don't consider the fact that Zadina should be in the top 6 and not him, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, you know what? Luke Glendening is doing a pretty great job for a guy who's just doing his best.
He didn't ask for it.
No.
I mean, he's a really good athlete.
Yeah.
And that's very obvious. If he had any finishing ability, he would be one of the best players on this team.
Well, I mean, only on the backhand does he. He only has finishing ability.
And then he has that one off-wing, wrist shot bar down.
Inside
every season.
Inside out, slap the player as he skates by and just goes bar down while already celebrating with one hand. Yeah.
It was only a few weeks ago that Glendening successfully pulled off a backhand toe drag on a defender. Didn't finish, but
came close.
He's got a few of those every year where it's just like, where and what the hell was that? And then we don't see it for another month.
The nice thing about him is you can move him up and down the lineup and he's not an anchor.
Yeah.
He doesn't finish to play in the top 6, but he can certainly hold his own from an athletic standpoint.
Luke Glendening is what every old school coach thinks they have in any given grinder.
Yeah. Luke Glendening is what Justin Abdelkader thinks he is.
I think Luke Glendening is what Jeff Blashill thinks Justin Abdelkader is.
Yeah, that's a better way of phrasing it.
He's actually kind of a poison, right? It's when the dealers give you the good stuff before suckering you in with the stuff that's all cut up with the... I don't know. I don't do drugs. Well,
I thought you meant a car dealer.
You should. It makes the season go way faster.
Well, I live in Kitchener now, and so they just kind of put it in my mailbox for free. I don't know what to do with them yet. I've been throwing them into my fireplace like flu powder from Harry Potter. Not much happens.
They're called sample packs.
Yeah, dog's been acting funny. She's just a weird dog, though.
It's fun for me that after you guys basically ripping on Kitchener for the entirety of this podcast, technically I'm the only one who doesn't live in Kitchener now.
Yeah, we both moved in.
That's true. That's true.
We just wanted to be closer to the Rangers.
Yeah, 6-game winning streak. It feels nice, right?
Nothing feels nice right now, Brad. Blashill and Babcock came into the Red Wings with Luke Glendening, and they're like, oh, so my idea of this perfect grinder / somewhat talent player is true. And then it's just ruined them and their impression of every other player who can do that. Truly, we were all, held back because Babcock left before Toronto could give us a first-round pick for Luke Glendening.
Would it be the ultimate flex / troll if Kyle Dubas traded for Luke Glendening now?
Absolutely.
Please, God.
That would be the only good thing.
I would love to see Mike Babcock's reaction.
Before we transition to Mike Babcock, can we discuss very briefly Brendan Pierlini?
Yeah.
I haven't been watching the games.
Oh, you just want to talk about him in general?
Yeah, I haven't seen him do anything in a long time, so I'm just wondering what's going on.
He had a couple games where it looked like he knew that he hasn't scored yet, and he was just firing from all angles, and that faded away.
Playing on the fourth line with Christopher Wren is certainly not helping him at the moment.
No. He did get limited looks in the top 6. Very limited. I think he got limited second line looks. I don't know. I haven't seen enough from him to start, shouting from the rooftops to put him in with Filppula and Athanasiou to get him going. I don't really think that's the best player to be putting up there right now. I'd rather prioritize Zadina. I wouldn't be upset if they did it because I think it would work because the guy is a shooter. At some point you have to say, no, he's not cursed. He's just, maybe he has a good shot, but not an accurate shot. I don't know how to put it.
He's had his chances.
He's had a lot of chances.
He hasn't finished any of them. A couple of them just by circus saves from the goalie. He doesn't generate chances for himself, though. He seems pretty lukewarm when he has the puck, if that makes sense. His skating he was advertised as a really good skater when he got here. I haven't seen it. He's quintessential guy.
I don't think he's quintessential guy. I think he can be a little bit more than that.
If the Red Wings are building are structuring their forwards as a good team should structure their forwards, he's a good third or fourth line winger with the understanding that in this structure, you're actually trying to score on those lines, whereas Detroit just completely writes off their bottom six to be all defense.
So under Jeff Blashill, he's getting 5 goals a year.
So if we solved hypothetically that second line center problem and the third line was Hirose, Filppula, Perlini, or that was the fourth line when the Red Wings are really good.
That doesn't make me upset.
No, that's a little more what Perlini is suited, because he's not going to light the world on fire there, but he's good enough that he won't be an anchor defensively there. He'll be playing with a couple guys who will help there, and given that Hirose and Filppula can generate some chances, he's good enough to finish on him more often than he does. And it is a bit of an aberration that he has 0 goals right now.
Yeah.
Because by all accounts, with the looks he's had, he should have at least a couple.
Yeah.
2 or 3. I'm not saying this guy's like on pace, should be on pace for 20 right now. But in a perfect world where you're trying to deploy 3 to 4 actual scoring lines, Perlini can fit into a bottom 6 scoring line pretty comfortably.
He can. The Red Wings, if the Red Wings had the depth to put Filppula down on the third line, I think this would be a different conversation, but they just don't now.
They don't. So Perlini's going to be playing with a center who is not going to do him any favors. While we're talking about Perlini, do you know who doesn't fit that role at all? And I am just about done with
who?
Adam Ernie.
I knew it.
God, he's terrible.
I was just going to talk to you about Adam Ernie because no, he has no offensive output. Adam Ernie, by the numbers, is one of the most effective defenders on this team.
Oh, he is a fantastic defensive forward. And if the Red Wings are going to deploy a true shut-down fourth line, I'm all for Adam Ernie being there. But he should never play any role other than that.
No, he should.
If we have 8 minutes of penalties, he's playing 7 of those minutes.
Which we tend to do.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's because we can't keep up.
No.
Yeah, that whole... hopefully he'll come here and find that untapped offensive potential that he had in junior that just hasn't translated to the NHL. Yeah,
it's not there.
It's not there.
It didn't translate because it's not there at the NHL level.
Yeah, no.
Those heat maps, that the Hockey Viz heat maps that Mike puts out?
Yep.
His offensive impact is actually a positive 3%, which is, all things considered, kind of impressive.
As he's pulling the double Sheahan.
His impact on defense, and remember, if your defensive impact on these charts, you want to see a negative number because you're reducing the other team's offensive output by this much. Negative 16%.
It's very good.
Like, extremely good.
So if the Red Wings are to be good in 2 years and they wanted to throw out a fourth line of, let's say, Luke Glendening at center, Adam Ernie on wing, and Guy at right wing, and you're going to throw them out against your Crosbys, your McDavids, your Kucherovs, so that you're freeing up Larkin and Athanasiou's lines to just go all offense all the time, I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it.
We had... We've been having some more conversations recently about the Red Wings RFAs, and I thought initially, before looking into it a little bit more, that Fabry would be the only RFA that we definitely bring back. Not sure about Perlini.
You still need roster spots, so you got to bring back some of these guys.
And you can get them on the cheap.
Well, yeah. I'd bring back Ernie if he's not looking for much more than what he's making now.
Yeah, no, I'd probably bring back Fabry, Ernie. I'm on the fence about Ernie. Perlini I would bring back just because maybe give him a look with some legitimate scores.
I'm talking closer to a mil than not.
No, I agree. I would probably be pitching for league minimum with these guys if they'd accept it. Because I don't know any other teams that will give them anything more than that. Other than that, if every single one of them walked, I would not be even a little bit upset. And Hirose, obviously.
Before we do Babcock, because I'm tired of Babcock and I want to talk about something else beforehand, something was brought up to us from a listener, Alec. I don't have the tweet up right now. I believe the guys like Max and Prashant were talking about potential 2020 first-round picks that could be acquired in trades, and if there are any teams that were prime candidates to trade their 2020 first-round picks, just to maximize the chance of, or maximize first-round picks next year. We want to explore, it's Alex Seaman, who wants us to explore what teams could be good options that might yield a lottery pick.
That might yield a lottery pick.
That's a difficult one.
Ooh, boy.
I would say the best option for Detroit right now is a trade with Edmonton. But that won't be a lottery pick unless they crash and burn. And I don't think we've ever seen Edmonton crash and burn.
So if we're looking at a team that's outside of the playoffs right now that thinks they can...
Minnesota? They've been on a bit of a heater, haven't they?
No, they have not.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah,
Minnesota? Much better.
Have they?
Yeah.
They are. Oh, yeah, they're up there. They're still
Brad.
out of a
7-1-2.
Don't doubt me.
Jeez. We don't even have 7 wins this year. We have actually only 7 wins this year. Oh, that's sad. Oh, I hate that.
Washington has won 6 in a row. They have almost as many wins in this win streak that we have total.
Well, in their last 10, they have...
So does Colorado.
Yeah. There are 2 teams that are 8-1-1 in their last 10. Oh my God, Detroit's 0-9-1.
And the Flyers are 7-2-1, so they have just as many in their last 10.
Just as many, yeah. Colorado, ugh.
Winnipeg's 7-2-1. There's a resurgence.
Okay, here's the question. I'm going to start before we even start exploring these teams. What do the Red Wings have worth giving up?
Athanasiu.
That's it. That's the end of the list.
But that's a pretty good trade piece. That is as good as you're going to find on any given
Is he
year.
lottery pick good, though? Because I would say no.
I think there's plenty of teams stupid enough to give up a lottery pick for it. Because they don't view themselves as a lottery team, especially after getting Athanasiu. But we've seen this before. They can acquire this player and a bunch of other things can go wrong. Look at when Vegas acquired Tatar. He didn't fit in at all there.
Calgary might be a good bet on this one, the way their season's going.
Yeah, but they've turned it around since firing Bill Peters, since he resigned. That whole thing was not funny, but in a funny way, it worked out for Calgary because they needed to be firing their coach already based on how the season was going, but they had an internal policy of they hate these midseason moves and they didn't want to do it again. So
Nashville's pretty comfortably out of a playoff spot too.
And Will Poyle is pretty stingy though. You know, he's not. I'm not sure you're going to get a first round pick out of him.
Man, I just realized I'm happy this question came up because I'm actually looking through the standings for the first time in probably about a week here, closely. There's a 5-point gap between 8th and 9th in the East. The playoff picture might already be pretty set in the East.
Yeah,
the funny thing is, Toronto and Tampa are out
because the Atlantic sucks. The Atlantic Division is brutal, man. You have
Florida and Buffalo in there.
Let's see. 5th place in the Metro has more points than second place in the Atlantic. Think about that. The 32 points gets you a divisional seed in the Atlantic Division. So you are in the playoffs in a divisional seed, not even a wild card. 32 points puts you in 6th place in the Metropolitan. You were not even close to being a playoff team. The Atlantic blows this year.
That's because of Toronto and Buffalo for the most part.
Absolutely, it's because of them. It's not Detroit's fault. Oh, man.
Or Ottawa. I mean, Tampa has 3 games in hand, but even if they win all 3 of those games on Carolina, that only ties them for the last playoff spot. What is going on?
It's just a perfect storm. Detroit sucked for a long time. Ottawa sucked for a long time. Toronto's being Toronto. And Tampa's, they're pretending they're a bad team for the first half of the year before they inevitably turn it around and, beat everyone. Yeah, this is going to be Tampa's year. You know that, right?
Yeah, they're going to
sneak into the wild card spot with a late surge and just take it all.
It's funny for reference because Montreal and Toronto are currently tied for 3rd in the Atlantic and Tampa's only 1 point behind. The wild card doesn't matter. The wild card is set.
No.
This is all going to be for 3rd place in the Atlantic.
All right, let's talk about Mike Babcock.
No.
Darren McCarty confirmed some stories, or at least put out his own version of the stories to the Free Press, I believe, where he mentioned, in his opinion, Detroit lost the 09 Cup because of Mike Babcock. I'm just going to go out there and say, I don't think that's exactly a hot take. I think Detroit should have won the 09 Cup, and anytime the better team loses, that is inherently pinned on the coach. I can't think back just much that Babcock did wrong coaching wise that was like very, very apparent, like, you know, running certain lines or things like that. There was a certain system he was running on the power play that year, the cycle back to the point that Malkin just pickpocketed every time, and that's how Detroit got a million shorthanded goals against those playoffs. Or at least some important ones. But besides that, I can't remember anything egregious that Babcock did that was visible to us, unless you guys have anything else.
Didn't he elaborate and say his utilization of Zetterberg and Datsuk was not good?
Yeah, but he didn't say why.
Yeah. And so, you know, I'm not going to come in here defending Mike Babcock. I've heard enough of how he treats, you know, the staff at Joe Louis Arena and like the people who literally take out the trash, that I'm not going to come out here just being devil's advocate for him. But I think the important thing to take away from McCarty isn't the whole 09 Cup thing. It's the fact that all of this, you know, treatment within the room is now confirmed as far back as 2009 from guys like McCarty. McCarty wouldn't just dish that out if he didn't have a good reason. You guys have heard him on this podcast before. The guy, he's a straight shooter as straight shooters come.
It's one thing for one person to have a bad experience with a coach. It's another to now have like 4 people corroborating the same stories that this person is a bad person.
Yeah, that's a pattern at this point. And
he did give Babcock credit and said he's an amazing tactician and nobody's better than him as a coach, but as a human being, he's not a great person.
And it seems like that the latter half of that just kind of grew and mutated to like absorb and
it gets
overtake.
old on people very quickly. You know, it's one thing to be a hard ass and push people to get more out of them and push them to win. And it's another thing to just be an asshole.
Yeah.
And that grows old very quickly, especially with people who are professional athletes and have seen good, nice people as coaches.
Yeah, these are human beings, and these are, like, let's be real. These are guys who, for the most part, not for the most part, a lot of them played college, but a lot of them have come into the NHL through high school or played a few years of college, which were very obviously athletically focused. Like, their formative years and a lot of their growing and development as people happens in the dressing room. They're going to wear a lot of what that coach brings to the room on any given day. And if what the coach is doing is coming in and slinging shit around, it's not going to sit.
And all of them have had hard-nosed coaches before.
Of course.
So they know what a true hard-ass coach looks like and interacts with them like. So when they know someone like Babcock is doing his antics, they know this isn't because he's a hard-ass. It's because he just sucks.
A question for you guys. We all played hockey growing up. We've all had the 2 types of hard coaches. One, the coach who wasn't actually like a hard ass in real life, but he thought that's what you had to be a coach, so he put on an act. We all know those ones. And then the Mike Babcocks who are actually that kind of person. Which was worse to play for?
the Babcocks.
I think it was the Babcocks too.
I'd rather play for a coach who is genuine in who they are, because I'd know what I'm getting every day, than someone who's one than the other.
So you'd rather play for the Babcock then? Let's be.
I'd rather you be who you are and coach based on who you are than try and coach and pretend that you're something you're not.
At least with the other type of coach, you knew there would be an eventual reprieve from it. It wasn't 24/7. It wasn't every time you stepped into the rink. It wasn't every drill of every practice, every time you got off the ice after every shift. Yeah, there was a lot of times it would happen because Buddy's trying to get on you, but it wasn't constant.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I will go out there and say the coach that everyone would rather play for than the coach that you just described, Brad, Evan's team's going to win a lot more games.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's got a different style that works for them. Like, some people like a coach that's buddy, like who's a player's coach and will do all of that. And some people need to have their ass kicked.
Well, the best coach I ever played for is actually, he was like just a house league coach. But the guy really knew hockey. He was a hard coach. He was a tough coach and he wanted you to do the right things. But I think he walked that line really well, because in the room, you know, he would walk up to me and say, like, Hannah, you have too much skill to be doing it this way. Like, let's get this right. Because I know, like, I'll always remember, I was a kid. Like I was a little kid. He was like, I know you can go out there and fly up the ice like Bobby Orr. We're just going to get you to do the right things. And like, that's the kind of player I was. I hated, like Brad said, every single drill. Like I would misremember the plays on a drill and the coach wouldn't describe it. And then he'd be screaming at me and singling me out in a practice. And I would hate that. I'd fire back at that coach. But this guy that I had, was tough, was firm, but had a lot of positive reinforcement and brought the best out of his players. And I think that's that halfway point that, well, for me as a player that worked. I just can't imagine playing for a guy, who would treat the janitor coming in like garbage.
It's one thing to be an asshole and it's to just people in general. And it's another to be an asshole as a coach. Like you can scream and yell at players all you want, but when you remove the context of hockey from it and you're just a shit person outside of that, that's completely offside as a coach. And I wouldn't want to play for someone like that.
One thing I thought about, the Winter Classic. You guys remember the HBO 24/7 series?
Mm-hmm.
Remember how against the cameras Babcock was?
Oh, yeah. No.
We thought that was just Babcock, like, cameras no place, or dressing rooms no place for the camera. This is a family. We need to be able to run our team, and we don't need all that put out in the world. That's what everyone assumed it was. Do we think Babcock was that pissed because he couldn't do his usual beratement of the team while the cameras were on?
Probably.
We saw him chase the camera away.
Now that I look back, I think it's not because we're one big happy family.
We got to watch Babcock's antics drive Todd Bertuzzi to drinking all on one show.
No, yeah. That was the best thing to ever come out of HBO 24/7 was the gif of Todd Bertuzzi drinking a Corona.
Yeah, that's
just like that.
Even Mike Babcock would be dumb to tell Todd Bertuzzi to stop.
I don't think he could have.
No one could.
But Bertuzzi probably actually gave Babcock direction when he came to the ice.
Probably. He's yelling at everyone. He's like, except for you, Todd. You're great.
You're good, buddy. Don't worry about it. So where did we land? Who's giving us their first round pick? That took some detours.
Edmonton.
Nah.
Did you guys talk about how Ken Holland kind of...
Montreal, that's my prediction.
Did we land on a spot where we said Ken Holland was basically complicit in Mike Babcock's Babcockery?
We talked about how he was smart and not saying too much, but that it didn't read like he was all of a sudden oblivious to it, right? Like he almost definitely is complicit and knew, much like Ron Francis definitely knew and didn't do the right thing about it.
If you don't know those things, you have no pulse on your team.
No. Also, if you're a manager and something happens under you, and you didn't know, that is just as bad as if you knew and didn't do anything. Because that is your job as a manager to know.
Well, didn't Ken Holland basically say if you don't like it, you can ask for a trade?
There's conflicting stories.
Yeah. What the part of Holland's interview that caught me was when he was saying, he's like, was there complaints or some displeasure, however he phrased it, I can't remember exactly. He said, well, yeah, but every team has players who don't like their coach. So it's because that's one of those fine lines.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong on that. But it was him admitting that players were coming to him with problems. The severity of the complaints we don't know, but given the severity of what's come out about what Babcock was doing, I have a hard time giving Holland the benefit of the doubt. The only real excuse I could give for him, and it's not a good one, is, well, there's a pretty high probability Babcock wasn't the only coach those days employing these tactics. Oh, so to Holland, this probably felt normal. Still not right.
Yeah, Mike Babcock's not the first asshole coach in NHL history.
Right? So
what did someone tweet out? And it was perfect. It was, it is beyond naive to think that the whole list of coaches who are, have gone this far over the line, whether you're on the Mike Babcock scale or like extreme scale, which is a whole different story in Bill Peters. If you think that list starts and ends with who the NHL has fired recently, you are absolutely clueless.
Mike Keenan, hello.
They are the tip of the iceberg. I mean, this is the same league that still parades out Bobby Hull, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Noted Nazi sympathizer and wife beater Bobby Hull. So there's a lot of work to be done, and it's, they've made some steps. We're having this conversation now, which is more than we could have said, but all right, Brad has a timeline. So we're going to get into overtime, which is brought to you by Motor City Garages. They are a family-owned and operated business servicing Metro Detroit. They do garage flooring, cabinets, overhead racks, wall storage, igniting Dylan Larkin, and everything to do with your car. Enough of the messy garages everyone is sick of walking through. It's time to turn it into something useful. Whether you like to work on your car or if you'd like an organized space, we have you covered. 3D designs and a lifetime warranty. Motor City Garages, park in style. We're going to start with Patreon. Alex Toger says, how does Brendan Smith drive us nuts when he's here, gets traded, and then gets shot out of a cannon for that goal? Who did we have to hurt for this to happen to us? Did you see that goal?
Who'd have thought playing Brendan Smith at forward would actually be a good thing?
That means Dylan McElrath is going to be on the fourth line next game.
Jonathan Erickson, buddy.
Oh, that's even worse.
Net front presence.
Haroon Khan says, hey guys, since Yzerman's been taking swings at players in need of a change of scenery, how about Hayden Fleury? Also, how's Veleno doing in the A? Haven't heard too much about him. Thanks, guys.
He's been fine.
He's been up and down. I mean, there's been a lot of things he's had to work on, but I think that's good because it would almost be concerning if Veleno went in there and had no problem in the A. It would make me very distrustful, or very nervous about him translating to the NHL, right? Like, he had to hit a hiccup at some point.
Yeah, he's been fine. He hasn't been lighting the world on fire, hasn't looked out of place. He's had his good moments. I think it's already been confirmed that he's going to be released from Grand Rapids to go play for Canada at the World Juniors.
He's so exciting.
He might actually be the captain of that team or wear a letter, so that could boost his confidence a little bit if he has a big tournament. We'll see. Hopefully it'll be the anti-Zadina World Juniors this year.
Hayden Fleury? I'm not too sure. I don't...
I've had enough of the big, unskilled defensive defenseman, if I'm just being honest.
Antonio Gracia says, when's Ryan getting a Peloton bike for the new place?
Oh my God.
Only as soon as he starts up his new daily vlog.
That was so funny, that commercial.
The Peloton or the aviation?
Both.
Yeah, the aviation gin commercial was amazing.
I saw that commercial. I was like, imagine buying your like rail thin, hot as hell wife a Peloton bike. Like, what? What do you want, man? The worst part is, that commercial boosted their sales.
Oh, 100%, because it's everywhere now. We're talking about it, for God's sakes.
David says, hey guys, new patron here. David, thank you so much and welcome to the Dub Dub family. I recently went to the game, in quotation marks, in Philadelphia and had a pretty fun time, except for a group of fans which were throwing food at us during the game. That was the mayor of Philadelphia, actually. At least the building staff was amazing and handled those dweebs. Question for you. What barn has been the worst to you as a visiting fan? Which one had the nicest fans to you? Thanks for making consistently entertaining content.
Oh, buddy. I'm trying to think. I haven't really had too many bad experiences at visiting barns. Leaf fans try, but it's adorable because it's not effective.
They put their 4 brain cells together and come up with some sort of insult.
Leaf fans I find are pretty grating as well.
I was not there as a fan of the opponent's team. I was kind of there as a neutral observer, but Montreal was a amped up crowd. The Rangers were the opposite. That was morgue. So it's kind of all the input I can give.
Philadelphia fans, Boston fans, move on.
I feel like if I ever went to a game in Philly or Boston, they would win.
That part of the Eastern Seaboard.
There's something in the air there.
Just Joseph Delia says, sup my dudes, big shout out to security guard Brad for sharing that nightmare fuel draft simulator where Toronto picks first and Chicago drafts second.
I actually will not watch NHL the full year after that.
No.
Maybe 5 years.
If you had truth serum and gave it to Stevie, what question would you ask him? Also, with us picking fourth because it's our luck, could Stevie go off the board again? Possibly go after Askarov or Stoitzel. Please spill the beans, guys. Thanks, my dudes.
I'd be fine with either of those guys at fourth.
One question to Steve Yzerman. I would ask him what his reasonable timeline, or no, you know what? I would ask him, what is your biggest blockbuster move that you're thinking about to turn this team around? Just to know. Because the timeline will know the answer to that question, right? It's not an answer that anyone will like hearing, but we're talking 2 to 4 years.
Yeah, that's it. That's actually a good one. Who's top of your list? I would ask him how drunk on a nightly basis the 1980s Detroit Red Wings were.
The answer is yes.
In terms of going off the board at 4, I would almost encourage it. At that point, like...
I mean, the thing is, right now, in my mind, the top 3 of the draft is set with Lafreniere, Byfield, and Raymond. Mm-hmm. And then at 4, you could comfortably and reasonably pick about 6 guys. Askarov, Stoitzel, Perfetti, Holtz, Drysdale, Rossi. None of them would be crazy there.
No.
So four is, as of right now, obviously there's near a full season to change these opinions, but 4 is where this draft gets fun. So from an entertainment standpoint, if the Red Wings pick 4th, we're going to have our hands full. We're going to have all the content in the world, and we're going to have some A+ reactions. From a getting good standpoint, you want to be in the top 3, though.
Liz B says, how do we make the wooing at home game stop? Please stop playing that Ric Flair video, and it'll stop kicking it off for people. Oh, God. I know some people don't mind it, and they say we're fun suckers, but like watching it on TV, it is painful to listen to.
I didn't notice it at all the game we were at, if I'm being honest.
Well, no, it wasn't. It didn't start till after.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it started like, I would say halfway through October or towards the end of October.
Oh, I don't pay any attention between the whistles because that's when I'm yelling on Twitter.
No, it's during the game. It's during the game.
Play.
Yeah. They don't play the video during play. They just play it once, and then the whole crowd for the rest of the game goes, woo! Come on, Abdulkader! I would rather take the come on, Abdulkader. Philip Gastineau says, hey, boys, I told you how I started playing hockey again, and I want to give an update. Game 1, dead after the first period and basically useless after the last 2 periods. Could barely stay on my feet and breathe. Definitely the worst player out there. Team lost. Well, at least you know you are actually playing hockey then, because if you could breathe by the end, then you're
dead after the first period. I think that's kind of on brand for Evan.
Oh, God. I'm a 1-period guy.
Yeah.
All the scoring will come in the first, and if it doesn't, I just shut it down.
Evan tries to build up a big enough lead that it won't matter.
I'm like the New Jersey Devils. I trap after the first period. And that's not because I want to, it's because I have to.
Game 2, I dominated. 7 shots on goal, got robbed 4 times, no goals, and had 2 beautiful assists in the game winner.
You are me.
And the goal to get us ahead by 2 and secure the lead. Most people started hockey as an adult, so they aren't good at the stick, so I would just stick lift and win every puck battle. Couldn't skate past people, but I could stick handle through everyone. On the last goal, it was a 1-on-1, and I went forehand, backhand in between the defenseman's leg, who then proceeded to fall on his ass to try and turn around and then dish it to my teammate. In the preceding 2-on-0, and we scored. It felt amazing. I somehow didn't get tired at all and double shifted a couple times, probably because of the adrenaline I was on. Can't wait to get out there for the 3rd game. That's so awesome to read people go out there and discover their love for hockey. I'm
the opposite. I discover I hate hockey all over again.
I haven't been on the ice in over a month, and I'm going through severe withdrawals.
Mitchell Shinkowski says, hey guys, new patron / new listener in general. Mitchell is a brand new name level sponsor. So Mitchell, thank you so much.
Get the air horn.
Yeah, we need to get an air horn for them. And welcome to the Dub family. He says, just started listening to the podcast about a month ago, around the time Brad had Hank, so congrats as well. And I just want to take time out of my day to say it's awesome. Can't say the same for the Wings, though. I went to the game against Pittsburgh tonight and noticed a lot of dumping the puck with no chase and quite a bit of no-look passes that didn't work out. Almost seemed nervous to have the puck in a lot of situations, on top of just not being able to control it in general. Hate being so negative about a team we all love, but it's upsetting watching them play and feel like there's not much effort coming from them. On a positive note, Comrie looked okay for the first 10 minutes he did play. Anyways, thanks for putting out a great podcast and keep up the great work. Hey, this guy's you, essentially.
Eric Comrie will save us all.
He had the same notes that you had. Eric Comrie was perfect.
He's still young and naive. He's not worn down like Bernier and Howard, who are in the corner rocking themselves back and forth.
Thank you again, Mitchell. Scott Martin says, what's up, my dudes? Just wanted to say thanks for the great content. You're the first podcast I've got hooked on and now the only bright spot in an otherwise bleak season. Keep up the good work. That feels great. Scott Martin, another new name level sponsor. Oh, my, thank you, Scott. We really need it. I don't think an air horn's actually.
We need a soundboard.
Yeah.
Where's that cowbell?
Did we hide it from Evan so well that we hid it from ourselves?
I think so.
Yeah,
thank you, Scott. That means a lot. Guys, like, for everyone who asks, how do you make it through this tough season with this like level of coverage?
Vices.
It's because, yes, that and you. Rowan says, good day, duds. I can't help but notice that on a team that is heckin' minus 58, all around good guy, fan favorite, and undisputed hashtag elite player Darren Helm is +5. That's right, +5. Now, before Broccoli Rob chimes in about the merits of plus minus as a stat, I would kindly invite him to shut up. Going to assume you 3 good old hashtag hockey men are afraid of new opinions and continue to not have hockey visionary Mel on the Talkie Show. Look, I know you're all scared of being the dumbest person in the room, but honestly, it's a very close 3-way race each episode. Hashtag free Mel. At the end of last game, Mel and like her entire family were in the living room watching the game with me, and she was like in the corner shouting from the rooftop. She's like, and I'm just saying, if you have a lead, just be careful. And if you want to score, the last 2 minutes is the right time to do it. And especially when you have more players on the ice on a power play. What do the Red Wings do? Score on a power play the last 2 minutes. And I was just like, oh my God.
She's the coach now.
That's
just get her to walk up to Jeff. Look at me. I'm the coach now.
We are at a very real point where we're going to have Mel on some like pretty humorous like YouTube videos, and it's just going to age so well for her. And one of us is going to lose our jobs, and it's going to be me. When you're afraid of new ideas and change, hide yourself in a Safe Fresh cheese bag so you don't change and learn more opinions. Safe Fresh cheese bags, a Fournier company and worst case Ontario's choice. Jersey time. How good were the Canucks V jerseys they rolled out in warm-ups and auctioned off? If you disagree, go play a quick game of drink, whatever it is, under the laundry sink. Okay, here's my take on the Canuck V jerseys. I know it's not a popular take. I think they're amazing as one-off novelty jerseys. I would have no ambition of ever having them as a main jersey because I think they're objectively not good looking, but they're so not good looking that they're cool as hell. So I think the way they did it, amazing.
The jerseys they were wearing during the game were objectively better. Logo still sucks. What? I will fight you.
What's good about the spaghetti skate?
Everything. What isn't good about this?
Why is it a spaghetti skate? What's the reasoning behind it? Is it just because it looks cool?
Okay, Ryan, our logo is a wing on a wheel.
There's at least some history.
Yeah, there's some history there. It doesn't make sense. Still love it. I'm going to say, no, all we need for those jerseys to come back is some like hipster fashion company to actually cut out the V and just have the deepest V-neck ever. And then everybody will be wearing it and problem solved.
We can make it part of Evan's photo shoot that he promised.
There we go.
In the Discord, we decided that mint chocolate chip ice cream is indeed good. And if you disagree, that you can play another fun game of drink, whatever it is in your car radiator, Safe Fresh cheese bag.
Well, I guess I'm going to the radiator then.
Really? You don't like mint chocolate chip?
I'm actually all right with it, but as far as chocolate flavors go, mint's near the bottom of the list.
Oh.
There is no bad chocolate flavor, but
Wrong.
mint is the worst of them.
Worst chocolate flavors, any kind of chocolate. Best chocolate flavors, mint or orange?
Ew, orange?
Orange chocolate's fine.
You like those candy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're sick.
Sarah's chocolate
You're
orange.
Those Sarah's chocolate oranges are fire, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, you're both disgust me. I took a
board.
bite of one of those once, and I did like, it was like it was burning my tongue. It was so awful.
All right, I'm gonna be honest here and say from time to time I do have a huge craving for chocolate. On the cruise, I had probably 35 chocolate soft serves. So
that's fantastic. And I didn't need to know those details. Anyways, So point being, if any of you are going and putting mouthwash in your hot chocolate, that's what mint chocolate chip is. Okay. So
Jordan Sirik says, "Hey boys, first time commenting, long time listener and patron. Love the show and all the great content. Thank you, Jordan, and thank you for being such a long time patron. I went to my first Griffins game of the year, and Mo Sider is a beast. Very strong defensively with some great vision." He does have a nasty side with some of his open ice hits and down in the corners. From what I saw from the Griffins, they play a lot faster pace game than the Red Wings are this season, and their power play is as fast or reacts fast to the other team's PK when the Wings do. I think I had a typo in there. Is this the personnel that are on the team, or is this the difference in the coach's power plays, game plans from the NHL and AHL? A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. A lot has to do with quality of competition.
Does Hirose know how to shoot? Watch him try to pull a Nyquist circling the O-zone for 30 seconds on the power play and not shoot, and ended up turning it over.
Yeah, I think both his career goals were just tap-ins from the slot area where he didn't actually have any other choice.
He had a snipe, I think. Any information on the Grand Rapids meetup? There are a lot of great breweries in the area. Keep up the great work. We're still deciding on a venue, but it's definitely the weekend of the 27th and 28th. We're going to be there for the Friday game and the Saturday game. I believe it's Friday, right? Yeah. Friday game, Saturday game. Bigger meetup on the Saturday before the Saturday game. And I believe that's when they auction off jerseys as well. So,
dibs on Veleno.
That'll be
dibs on Eriksson.
Oh yeah, those will both go for.
I'll take a Chris Terry jersey.
The whatever jerseys the Griffins auctioned off the other night, Eriksson's went for more than Veleno.
Yeah, of course it did.
Oh, some of those were going pretty high.
Veleno was one of the cheaper ones. What the hell?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you should play an NHL game.
We will.
Noob.
We will get the venue out once that's secured for sure. Oh, also the next weekend will be our end of season meetup in Detroit. So just meetups on meetups.
I'm gonna be so tired.
This one's from I Hate Poutines and the Lions. Justin, damn you. Justin changed his name to I Hate Poutine and the Lions, so I'd have to read that out. Fun fact, I do hate the Lions. at the same time as loving them. I do hate them. On your Discord server, people were upset over my dislike in mac and cheese. However, Rowan discovered the truth. I don't like cheese. That would explain why I hate mac and cheese and poutine. It's ironic that a diehard Packers fan born in Wisconsin doesn't like alcohol and cheese. Yeah, you know what? You're really missing out by not liking cheese curds. Important food question. Do you put your pizza rolls in the microwave or in the oven? Oven if I'm feeling cultured, microwave if I'm in a desperate enough state to be eating something like pizza rolls.
I haven't had pizza rolls in at least 15 years.
Is this why you're unhappy all the time?
Probably.
What is a pizza roll?
15-year-old Brad would only microwave them for whatever that's worth.
I'm going to go over...
I legitimately haven't had a pizza roll since I started dating Crystal, I think. So that'd be at least 16 years.
I'm trying to find a question here from our Reddit because we promised some Reddit questions as well. And then Twitter.
You've got like a minute, so...
Well, you can go if you need.
I might have to.
Yeah. Buffalo Soldier 11 says, so I know you guys have been to Detroit, but have you ever indulged in Metro Detroit in general? Ever been to the best pizza place outside New York and Chicago, i.e. Buddy's? Ever experienced the friendliness of Ferndale, the over-marketedness of Royal Oak, or the snootiness of Birmingham? Have you seen Lake St. Clair yet? I'm keeping tally of how much the fans need to entertain you guys.
No to all of the above for me.
I've not had Buddies. I've had a few other places. I grew up in Windsor, so I spent a good amount of time in Detroit. I have family all over there. Have been to Royal Oak, have been to Ferndale. I don't think I've been to Birmingham, actually. And then I have seen Lake St. Clair.
No.
Yarvik7 says, don't want to beat a dead horse, but why did the Bruins bring up Zadina if they're going to give him garbage minutes with no goal Nielsen and bad hands Helm? Well, they did move him off that line eventually, but they're
for
convinced.
A period. Let's see how long it lasts. If this is permanent, I'm okay with it.
It's like resistance training. If you can pull that line, you'll be fine in top 6 minutes.
Also, for what it's worth, because I see a lot of people saying, yeah, well, he's playing on the second line in Grand Rapids with Turner Elson. What's the difference? Again, quality of competition. When you're Philip Zadina playing against AHL caliber players, you're going to generate a lot of chances yourself. He's not at the point of doing that in the NHL yet.
Harseys says, what team do you think is going to be hurt the worst from the expansion draft, and what team has benefited from it?
Oh, God.
I don't think any team but Seattle is going to benefit from it. I think the team that's going to get hurt the most is probably going to be Tampa Bay.
Oh, I think he was asking about the first expansion draft, and the team that was hurt the most is Florida.
What? Wasn't that because of their own stupidity?
Yeah, absolutely.
They lost Riley Smith and Jonathan Marchessault, which is 2/3 of their top line. Honorable mentions to Minnesota and Anaheim, who gave up Alex Tuck and Shea Theodore respectively. Benefited the most? Has anybody benefited? I mean, Detroit losing Thomas Nosek is a non-factor, so...
Yeah, it definitely frees up a roster spot if you're having issues.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone who protected someone that we all criticized that ended up...
Didn't Calgary leave one of the... Which defenseman did they protect? And we all thought that was wrong. Oh, I can't remember.
I still disagree with the Red Wings protecting Howard over Mrazek, but anyways, I digress.
Drew Mello had a Twitter question showing the 6 Grand Rapids jerseys this year, like the special jerseys that they auctioned off, and asked us to rank them. Maybe I posted a tweet from my account. You guys should do yours, and we'll post those as well. The best one is definitely...
Can I see them somewhere?
Yeah, I'll send them to you. They're definitely the Grand Rapids... what's it called? Jurassic Park. Those have to be the best.
Are you sending it over?
I'll put it over Messenger.
The Book of Face.
Yeah.
No free ads.
Yeah, no free ads. We'll get to that next episode. For now, because Brad's running out the door, we're going to thank all of you for listening. Thank you to all of our name level sponsors, especially our brand new name level sponsors. Justin changed his name to I Hate Poutine and the Lions. Scott Martin, Luke Johnson, Mitchell Shinkowski, Arjun Shanker, Clayton Van Dyken, Mike Reed, Aaron Taylor, Langabeer, Matthew M. Rice, Kayla Thompson, another brand new name level sponsor, Ryan Lewis, Sean Levine, Matt McKay, Hannah Lee, Kaylin Wood, Jacob Turner, Charlie Elkins, John Evans, Rob Thiel, Craig Kibble, Stan Olsen, and our friend from Sweden, Simon Anderson. Thank you all so much, and we will see you midweek.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to check out wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find links to other ways to support the show, such as Patreon, official podcast apparel, and more. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at Winged Wheel Pod. And of course, the hosts at Brad Crisco, at Ryan Hanna WWP, and at Hockey Town Evan.